side note.
Chicken bone.
Anyways, child. Hi guys.
Hi.
This is Molly.
It is? Oh my god, nice to meet you. My name's
No, it's
Ethan.
actually her evil clone.
Melissa.
Melissa.
What's your evil
Marissa.
Marissa.
Yeah.
Marissa.
What's yours?
I don't really have an alter ego. I just
Eric.
exist.
You
That's
just
one-
exist.
I just exist.
All alternate versions of you
Exist in one.
in
Yeah.
one form.
I contain multitudes.
2,000
multiple personalities. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all go by Ethan.
And that's Ethan,
yeah, anyway.
if you didn't know.
And you're listening to Personally I Wouldn't. Thanks so
Personally I
much
Wouldn't.
for coming back. I honestly never thought we'd hear from you again, but it's really great to see that you're here.
Yeah, we're really happy to see you.
Do you have any life updates? What's new with you?
What's new? You just graduated. That's probably the newest thing.
That's me. You just stole my news, you bitch. I did just graduate. I have to say, it was really cute. Molly was there. She came down. It was probably like the hottest day of the year. I was sitting in like my all black robe, as one does.
It was really hot.
Sweating my absolute tits off.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cute though. It was so much fun. We went out to lunch after, or like dinner, kind of. And yeah, it was really great. I can't believe that I'm a post grad now.
Your mother was texting me. You're about to miss it. I was like running late because there was so much traffic.
Know.
She's like, you're about to miss it. I was running through like the 100-degree weather, like in heels, like sprinting.
That is so sweet.
Down the sidewalk,
Yeah.
pushing people out of the way. I was not about to miss this.
You were.
And then I get there, and she's like
from vines to get
sitting
there.
like on her phone.
Yeah.
I was like, you said it. He was about to go. She's
Well,
like,
also, I was in like one of the last rows, and I told her that 20 minutes before they even started reading the names off. And she was like, are you up next? Are you up next? Are you there?
Yeah.
So like, I didn't even hear my graduation speech. It was just me texting my mother like, no, 10 more minutes, hurry.
And then he stopped responding to her. So she was like, we missed it. Like, he already went up. Like, he started spelling.
The drama, like the theatrics is too much.
I shoved my way like to the very front. I pissed off a lot of grandmas. And then I like am trying to get a video of him, but then I see his little blonde head and I like ditched my phone and they call his name. I screamed so loud I lost my voice.
I heard her on stage in front of like 500 people.
Yeah.
I heard Molly's like, ah, when I went up there and I was like,
the most
oh my
annoying
god, that's
scream
her.
the whole time.
Yeah, I knew immediately it was you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fun. So
good
that's
times.
the newest thing with me, probably, is that you graduated.
Yeah, and stay tuned for my real quarter life crisis, which is no doubt going to be impending in the next, few months here.
You're such a baby child. You're just a fetus.
I know.
Like hardly.
I can't tell
out of
people
the
that
womb.
I'm in college anymore. It's so weird.
Oh my god.
It's so
Welcome
weird.
to adulthood.
I'm like, yeah, I'm in college.
You're a real person now. You're
also,
a real adult.
the men love that on Grindr. Like,
They love that you're in college?
Yes.
That's creepy.
It's, but I mean, no, like 27-year-olds, 24.
Oh, okay.
It's not that big.
Okay.
And they're like, they love to be like, oh, you're in college, like,
Oh, how
a
cute.
college boy. I'm like, yes.
Your little baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, your grad pics were shocking. He was wearing checkered
Scandal.
pants.
Yeah.
Did I already talk
Is
about the
checkered
pants
shocking?
on the
I feel like you did.
I think I did roast your pants. But anyways, welcome back. What are we talking about today, Ethan?
Today we're going to be talking about something that I've long believed in, long been a part of, long stood for. A lot of you know me for this, and that's going to be core conservative values.
Yeah, when I think of conservative, I think of you.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just came from the
You
NRA
love
meeting.
fishing. Like, you love fishing, you love guns.
Guns,
Like,
shooting beer cans. I mean,
country, you
text
love
me
country.
anytime I'm not working, and that's what I'm doing.
He goes to every Morgan Wallen concert.
I
like,
do.
He's his biggest fan.
Did you know that I've been backstage at a John Party concert? That's how
I
country
don't even know
am.
who that is.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how you know.
That's real country. John Party, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to like country when I was little.
Did you?
That song that's like, we put a boot in your ass. It's
That's
the
literally all of the
American
songs.
way. Yeah, that one. Oh, I could still get down with that on 4th of July.
No, honestly, 4th of July is the national day of country music. I don't know why.
Yeah. I remember talking to my roommate in college, and she was like, No, like, America sucks, but, like, if anyone from a different country says that, like, I will beat you up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
America.
Fight to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. What is that?
I don't know.
But 90% of the time I'm also like, yeah, America's
No, America
shitty.
sucks.
Yeah.
But don't talk shit about it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But we're getting off track. This isn't about nationalism. This is about traditional or more conservative values.
Traditional values.
And I feel like you mentioned this earlier that
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing like a trend or a resurgence in some of those values in like younger generations.
Yeah. So we were talking about how we've been seeing trends of like being in your masculine energy, being in your feminine energy, and how women are no longer doing 50-50. They don't want to split the bill. They want to be taken care of and provided by men, which is very traditional. And we're kind of seeing the pendulum swing back towards tradition, where it was like more feminist, 50-50, like just 5-10 years ago. I remember it would be like, oh, no, I'm an independent woman. I want to help pay for the bill.
Yeah.
And
marriage, families.
Yeah.
Male, household breadwinners, being the leader of the family, 2.5 kids, minivan, opioid addictions. Yeah, that's
Big
where we're
pharma.
headed. That's what's coming down the pipe, and I hope you're ready for it.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, to be 1,000% honest, I am homosexual. Shocking, I know.
Gasp.
For some of you who have been with us a while, this must be news to you. But yeah, so I'm not exposed to that level of or that particular group of society, I'd say, very often. However, I've realized that the more gay men I meet, the more homophobic I become. The more gay men I meet, I'm like, no, they're right. It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Like, this isn't it. We're doing something wrong because I'm sick of it. Like, it's become, not that I love gay men and I love being gay, but the culture of gayness, the culture of gayness.
Put it on a flag.
The culture of gayness. That's the name of my autobiography.
The culture of gayness.
It just feels like, it feels played out and like kind of tired almost. You know what I mean? I'm like, we've kind of done this already. Like, it's time for something new. You know? Like, I'm just kind of over it. So I can see, like, I see the appeal.
Yeah.
Like, I want like a gunslinging, beer chugging man who doesn't wash his ass.
Oh my god, we'll talk about
That's what I'm ready for. Like, that is.
No, the amount of straight men I've met that don't wash their ass is appalling.
Tell it on the
because it's gay? What are you doing?
Yo, what does
Who
that
told
even
you that?
mean?
Who told you that? Whoever they did, they're gay.
Yeah.
Whoever said that, they're gay.
Yeah.
But you were telling me that, you're noticing some gay men that have like internalized homophobia, and it's like pretty common.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
But now I'm like outwardly homophobic, not internally. I'm like, sometimes we don't need to be in a pink thong in broad daylight, like in the middle of, like, and it's Pride Month. Like, I know, it's like, don't shoot me. I don't like kill people like in my gay time. Kill gay people in my gay time. In my free time. I'm having
What's
a stroke.
The difference?
I'm having
What's
a stroke. My gay time is my free time. Same thing. Same thing.
When you're at work, you're straight. When you're
When I'm at work, they know. My coworkers know. I have no idea what I was gonna say. But yeah, I feel like it's okay to like tone it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I kind of get it. Like, I'm starting to be like, I'm okay with homosexuality. I just don't need it in my face all the time. Like,
that was a great impression.
Like, that is where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, do that shit over there.
Well, that's like, I've noticed a lot of like trends swinging towards tradition.
Yeah.
For example, not drinking. Like, drinking is becoming less popular. Like, in the early 2000s, there's so many songs that are let's get fucked up, like teenage dream, passed out in the front yard, like glamorizing it, romanticizing it. Now so many people are going sober, even if they don't have a problem with it.
Well, I feel like California specifically is so like health conscious and health focused that I have been seeing a lot of that too.
And like people are becoming, what's the word, like less promiscuous. Like I know a lot of people that are.
Well, I famously just had my celibacy like streak.
Celibacy era is like a thing.
Yeah.
And I was just telling you about, it's kind of contradicting this other idea I've heard that I told you about, where they've noticed there's like a supposed trend with skinny people. Like whenever there's a rise in feminism, the trend tends to be a really skinny, like rail skinny. So let's think of like sorry, this is kind of off topic, but like the 20s, when there was suffrage, women's suffrage, and like the women's rights movement, what was the ideal body type? It was like very thin. And then like in the 80s and 90s, second wave feminism, like Twiggy was the ideal body type. And right now, everyone's like focused on Pilates and trying to lose their curves, getting their BBLs taken out. And they say that is like a signal that there's going to be a rise in feminism.
Interesting.
But it's interesting because that we are seeing these trends towards like no more drinking, celibacy era, like traditional, we want men to pay and be the providers. So what do you think about that?
I don't know. It is kind of like a counterculture almost. That's like, that's kind of strange. I mean, I'm not as in tune with like the straight community and what's happening there, but yeah, I just being on TikTok, like I've seen so many posts that are like, I want, like from a girl's perspective, POV, like I want him to take care of me, pay for the meals, like rent should be like 70-30 if you live together, or he pays for it fully. And like, I don't know, it's just such an interesting thing. Part of me understands that, but part of me is also like, how can you advocate for women's independence and liberation when you want to be beholden to a man? Like, I'm sorry, but if you are letting your boyfriend or whoever you live with fully pay for your rent, you are dependent on them.
But I don't think it's mutually exclusive. Like, I don't think that that goes hand in hand. I think that you can have healthy, like a healthy relationship with somebody being more dominant and the other person being more submissive, like in a traditional role. And in the past, 50-50 has been like a thing, and feminism, I think, has been on the rise because it was really hard to extract like abuse and oppression from traditional values. And I don't think that those have to go hand in hand. I don't think that...
I agree.
I see what you're saying though, like, it is definitely a power dynamic.
Well, it comes down to whether or not you're willingly giving up that power or not.
Exactly.
And that can turn on a dime very quickly.
Yes.
Because I think if you willingly give up a certain amount, that may come to be the expectation from your partner. And so if there comes a point where you don't want to, that could be a source of a lot of conflict.
Well, that's why they say, like, don't do the dishes and don't act like a wife right at the beginning of a relationship, because then that's what they're gonna expect. And it's like tough because
I always do my crush's dishes. I just break into their house and like when they're not home and unload the dishwasher.
It's difficult because my ideal situation would be to have somebody pretty even with like chores.
Well, that's the thing too. Like,
but that's also a provider. But then in my head, I'm like, well, if there was kids, like, I'm probably going to be taking on a majority of that role.
Would you want that to be the case? Okay.
I would like that. So in that case, like, it makes sense to have somebody who is more of a provider, and I don't have to worry, and I can just relax, because I don't want to be working and raising like babies. Maybe later once they're grown.
Completely.
But that's just me. Like, everybody has different ideals and
I just like, I mean, I am someone who's never fully related to the desire to like have a family, at least not yet. We'll see if I reach that point someday. But yeah, trying to do it without some kind of help when both parents are working, crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember something I was going to say earlier. I saw this thing that said the ideal, there was a study that came out, a survey, the ideals for men and women is becoming, the discrepancy between the two is like, what's the word?
Widening.
Widening.
The gap is growing.
The gap is growing in the ideal like the expectations for men and women in relationships. So women are expecting more and more and more.
Yeah.
And men are not meeting that. So like the expectation of reality is.
I think that's why so many people are single.
Yeah.
It's like no one's satisfied anymore. You know?
Well, I think also that has to do with like TikTok and women being like, oh look, I have the perfect man, like he's such a provider, women don't settle, and then they're like and then everyone's realizing, oh, this is attainable, this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
And
when in reality there's like maybe 6 of those guys
there's only like
out there.
6 men on the planet that are doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I know, like we were saying, there's exceptions for both.
Yeah.
I know some great men and some absolutely crazy women.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting that we are like swinging towards tradition and women are expecting a lot more nowadays. And what's even crazier is like the economy is crashing.
Yeah.
And
part of me wonders if that's why, is like
yeah.
there's a certain level of security I think that comes with being taken care of like that. Like and stepping into that role, like it's almost like sacrificing the responsibility for your own livelihood.
Yeah.
In a weird way, but there's also something very comforting about knowing that like someone else is gonna like look out for you, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, I'd like to think that you could have a healthy relationship that is like provider and caretaker.
Yeah.
That's not domineering and abusive. But I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I see that a lot, especially in the gay community. There's a lot of guys who date younger guys who date older men and vice versa. And I do think there is a certain level of like power dynamic there where obviously like when you're older, all of my exes are older as well, but like when you're older you are more secure in your job, in your life, like you're somewhat more established in your career usually, more financially stable, and so I think inevitably that plays a role in the relationship, and like that person usually is just more secure and provides more, at least initially. But yeah, I don't know, it's hard to have that not affect the power dynamics of the relationship, but also maybe sometimes you do want it to, you know what I mean? Like it's interesting that I think people are like leaning more back in that direction, you know?
Yeah. In what direction?
In the direction of like having there be someone, not like a male and a female in a gay relationship, but like someone who's more in control, you know? But I guess, I don't know, maybe do you think that every relationship has to have someone who's like in charge in the driver's seat?
That's like hierarchy.
Do you think?
So that's, in family therapy we talk about, it's called structural family therapy.
Yeah.
And it's the idea that there's always a hierarchy in families. And in relationships, and often if a family is experiencing problems, it might be because there is a power shift that they're not comfortable with. So like let's say the man is like becoming overwhelmed, like in a straight relationship, in a straight family, like nuclear family, let's say, the man is becoming overwhelmed at work. He can't put in like time at home to discipline the kids. Yeah. So the wife like compensates for that and starts doing the disciplining and like helping the husband. She takes on a very provider role in the house. She's not comfortable being in this provider role. It's causing a lot of problems. And then it's like cyclical, like that. Then he becomes stressed out and he starts withdrawing more, and then.
Well, it challenges the expectation too that she is dependent on him if she's like able to take care of the kids on her own. You know what I mean? So that kind of breaks that like illusion too, which we've seen obviously. Like we know that women or men are totally capable of like having a family on their own, you know? Like
Yeah.
you don't have to have two parents.
Yeah, it's true. But I've seen a lot of women talking about like being in tune with their femininity and, you know, like hormone cycling and being in the nurturing role. It's just more natural.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hot take, but I do feel that. Like as a woman, I'm like, when I've been in more not submissive, like relationships where I can relax and I'm not like the assertive one or
you don't
energy.
Feel the need to initiate.
Yeah, like I've been in both. I've been
Yeah.
in one where I literally could just like turn my brain off is what they say. Like
Yeah.
turn my brain off. They would take care of dinner. They would pick the place. We'd come home, they'd pick the movie, and I was like, okay. And it was like,
Yeah.
I'm happy being there. And then I've been in the other role where they want me to decide everything. I stand up for us when we're out in public, and I didn't like that personally.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that men release a certain neurotransmitter, and it's like when they are problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they fall in love. I heard this on some podcast.
Interesting, really.
But so
okay.
women fall in love through like bonding.
Yeah.
And dopamine and oxytocin. Men
Yeah.
as well, but also for men, what I heard, I don't know if this is true, is like they fall in love through problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a man to fall in love with you, just have them do
Be
like
a problem.
tasks. Be a problem. Exactly.
That's been my tactic for quite a while now.
Yeah, they're trying to solve you.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a thing. Like that's why guys are attracted to really chaotic people. Women or
whoever,
gays.
yeah.
It's like chaotic people because it's like a problem to be solved.
Interesting.
It's like, let me help you.
Yeah.
Like the savior role.
Everyone wants to feel like, I can change him, I can fix him.
The savior role,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah.
Do you find yourself being drawn more towards guys who do have it together and want something that's more like a traditional family like that? Or someone who's like maybe needs a little bit of like help getting there and is like you feel like, oh, I could like get him on track?
See, that's the perpetual problem with...
Because you want the bad boy who's like exciting and you're like, I can fix him. But he's not going to be that material.
As I
usually.
tell everyone, I grew up around crazy people, so I get crazy people, I love them, and when I meet them, I'm instantly attracted to them, but they're crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And then the ones that are normal and healthy, I run away from.
Boring.
Because
Yeah.
they're not, that's the perpetual problem. It's like
Yeah.
they don't remind me of my family and my anxious attachment, so I run away from them. So I would like to change that and be more drawn to people that have their shit together. But they tend to be more, in my experience, focused, narrow-minded, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But that might come at the cost of them being less open-minded, like deep thinkers. Yeah, which is what I'm drawn to.
I kind of realized that I am too.
Yeah.
Like,
We love open-minded people. Everyone in our family is very open-minded.
all of the men that I've like actually had feelings for have been from like the Midwest, where it's like
Oh God, why?
the most, not like the Midwest, but like either like the South or like, you know, places that are not as liberal or forward thinking as California.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they have some of those like traditional beliefs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's true.
Like we do, like our family is very progressive now, but at the same, like we are traditionally, like in our family, I think the way we were raised is very traditional, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so like I was saying, I don't want to say too much because she was like, don't talk about this.
Talk about it.
My sister wants to write a book.
Okay.
So I won't tell...
We won't
I
spoil
won't
it.
say
Okay.
anything about it besides that we were talking about how, like the book It Ends With Us,
Mm-hmm.
says, is this on topic of what we were just saying or no? Who knows?
I don't know where we're going with this, so.
I just said this to you
We'll
earlier.
see.
Anyways.
I don't remember.
I feel like we just jump from like random topic to random topic.
They're used to it.
Yeah.
They know the team.
And
yeah.
we have the connections in our brain, but
Yeah.
like nobody else can
No one
see
else
it.
understands.
It's just
Yeah.
chaos
That's
and
okay,
madness.
though.
Chaos and madness. we were just talking about how there's been a trend of women wanting to break that generational trauma of abuse. So like the book It Ends With Us ends with her mom was in an abusive relationship. She recognizes she's in an abusive relationship. She gets pregnant. Sorry, I'm spoiling the book, so if you haven't read it, skip this part. But at the end, she decides to leave her abusive relationship because she wants to break that cycle of abuse for her daughter.
Yeah.
And my sister and I were talking about how that everyone's talking about that, but it's kind of fucked up because women for centuries have been trained to protect themselves and like be strong. I was always told like be strong, be independent. Like don't be dependent on a man. And that's kind of fucked up because why aren't we teaching our men to just be better and treat women better?
Yeah.
Like, you're the best man I know that treats women the best, and you're homosexual.
Well, that might have something to do with it.
Do you think it does? Or do you think it has to do with, like, you how you were raised?
Yes, I'm sure both are true.
Yeah.
But I do think, and I see what you're saying, but I do think, well, are you saying that you think a return to, like, how are you advocating for a return to, like, more traditional
I'm advocating
values
for...
if, like, you're saying that might result in, like, cycles of abuse?
I think that, like I said earlier, they don't have to go hand in hand. I think that you can teach... This is what is taught in dialectical behavioral therapy is the idea of both and, like, two truths can exist at once.
Yeah.
You can teach your sons to be providers and strong and assertive without being
abusive
and aggressive and selfish.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunately a lot of what we see in today's society. I'm not saying every man. I know great men. But I think that both and is definitely possible. So it's a fine line, and it takes introspection and self-awareness. But yeah, what were you gonna say about?
I do think that there is like a correlation between having sexual attraction towards someone and the potential to abuse them or mistreat them, though.
Remember I said if I think I can beat someone up, I'm not attracted to you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but not even that. What I mean is, like, I think you are opened up to that possibility when you are in the presence of someone who desires you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It seems like on a biological, like, evolutionary level.
But even in, like, gay relationships, you know what I mean? Like, I think the reason straight women and gay men are so bonded is because they both experience that, like, oppression.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in the gay community, it's from their own kind, other men. But they still feel that, whether it's sexual or physical or whatever it is. Like, I think there has something to do with that, and that's why I think we feel safe with one another as a gay man and a straight woman, and you see that in so many different relationships, is because there's not the potential for any, like, sexual activity. You know what I mean? Like, it feels safe. There's something very safe and comforting about that.
Because of that, like, power shift.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, have you seen those things that are, like, when you're hanging out with your boyfriend and you think about how he could literally kill you if you wanted, like, he could just crush you.
And then you get a little bit hard. Wait, what? Who said that?
No, but that's totally...
There is
like,
something...
Sometimes I would be with my exes, I'd be like...
Yeah.
Like, you could literally just kill me right now if you wanted. And I would not...
If you would.
I would... No,
if you wouldn't stop them?
Like, I would try, but
stop.
I wouldn't win. Because I'm only attracted to people that, like, could kill me.
Have physical
What is that
dominance.
about? That's, like, evolutionary. I think it's the idea that...
Well, someone who could harm you also has the potential to protect you. So I think...
Exactly. They can protect you from a bigger danger.
A strength thing, yeah.
This is the idea of... I've noticed that since living with, like, a female roommate... Because right before this, I was living with another girl. But before that, I was living with my ex. And we would like be watching a movie on the couch, and I 9 times out of 10 would fall asleep watching a movie on the couch.
Me too. And wait, that never happens to me when I'm watching it on my own.
I was just gonna say.
But whenever I was with my boyfriend, I was out like that.
Gone. I was.
First 5 minutes.
And I think it has to do with like, I'm kind of, when I'm watching a movie here by myself, or even with like my female roommate, I am like kind of on edge. Like, what if I heard someone jiggling the door handle or something? Like, I have to be prepared.
Yeah.
But if there's a big strong man next to me, I'm like, you got it.
Yeah.
Out like a light.
I don't know. That's so interesting that you say that. That's so funny.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I know.
But I don't want this to sound like a man-hating episode. I was gonna say earlier.
I think that we are advocating for men to be more in control, which I don't know that that's led us down some great paths historically. I don't think that that's the case.
Okay,
but
you know what? I was just thinking about, I always see these videos of people going up on the street to girls and like asking them like, what do you want in a man, and what bothers you about men nowadays? And they're always like 90% of the time they're talking about how they just wish men would like come up to them and like say something and not be afraid.
Well, that's what I hate about dating app culture, and I think it's made like the social boundaries in real life feel so much more severe.
Yeah.
It's because it's so much easier. It's completely nonverbal. You're not face to face. Just text someone and be like, "Hey, you're cute."
Yeah.
Like going up and like saying that in person, it takes balls.
It takes balls.
Yeah.
And I think from what I've talked to like with my guy friends, they're like, "Well, I'm worried about being perceived as creepy or like a girl rejecting me," and I'm like, "Well, you grow some balls, like." You have to not be afraid of that because the reward is so much greater than the risk. Like, women love when you are just straight to the point. You go up to a woman and you're like, hey, I think you're cute. Can I get your number? That would be the most attractive
but also,
thing
like,
in the world.
Read the signs. You know what I mean?
If she's not into you, she's not into you.
Yeah.
Take it gracefully.
Move on. Yeah. And that's okay.
But the idea
not
is like...
Not everyone is going to want to sniff your butt.
Sniff your butt? We're dogs.
Yeah, you know.
We're all dogs.
You know. So to speak.
But the idea is like you can be forward and assertive without being creepy, without being a jerk.
Yeah.
That is a possibility. And that's what I would like if I had a son, which I hope I do. I don't want to have a girl. But if I do, I want to teach him like, you know, be strong, be a man, but also like hold space for women, and that's all you have to do. And
hold space for your own feelings. You know.
Exactly. That is also the, like we've talked about, the most attractive thing is when men are in touch with their emotions, because that takes bravery.
It does. I think that's what people don't realize is like, well, little boys too, the minute they get hurt or like are upset by something, they're immediately told like, suck it up, be a man.
Be a man.
Yeah, be a man, which is so toxic.
It's toxic.
It's reinforcing this idea that it's masculine or manly to push down your feelings and just like power through, which ends up like.
But that's not. That's
guys
cowardly.
Like carrying that shit around. Yeah, it's cowardly. Yeah. You're not addressing anything. Yeah. You're just ignoring the problem.
You're ignoring it. You're shoving it down. You're running away.
Yeah.
And that's not manly.
Yeah, but it burns calories.
So I was gonna say, like, this reminds me of the story I was gonna tell you earlier, that I know some great men. Like my dad, for example, he had his own problems, but he was brave and like unapologetically himself. And I was going to tell you the story, I don't know if you know, he was pretty in touch with his emotions too, and just compassionate. So for example, one time, so he was a psychiatrist and he worked at the Atascadero Mental State Hospital.
Yeah.
With all the crazy people. I asked him what the craziest patient he ever had was. He said somebody thought he was Jesus, Christ in the flesh.
That's pretty flattering.
No, the patient thought that he himself was Jesus.
Not
that my dad.
Your dad was Jesus.
No. And so...
I know a few twinks with a God complex. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so my mom told me the story. At one time at the hospital, this patient was like in confinement because he was schizophrenic. And he had like pooped all over
Listen, if being put in solitary confinement and pooping all over yourself makes you crazy, then lock me out, baby.
Me too. But anyways, so he'd like, shout all over the room. It was all over him.
I'm with you.
The guards had left him in there like for days. Like
with the poop? Also, I have a question. Does solitary confinement have a toilet?
Yeah.
It does?
But
then why did he
like
poop on himself?
He was schizophrenic. He just didn't know what was going on.
Oh, that's sad.
So schizophrenia has audio-visual hallucinations
Yeah.
and delusions. So it was really sad. And my dad, he was his psychiatrist, and he went in there. He was like, unlock the room, and they're like, sir, like, it's gross. And they're like,
Sir, it's gross in there.
Sir, it's
That's what the guard said. The guard turned to him and was like, sir, that is gross in there. Are you sure about that?
Stop. Anyways, hold on. Let me get to the good part. He went in there
I'm sorry.
in his like, nice dressy
Suit, yeah, whatever.
Suit or whatever he would wear to work. He went in there, picked him up, and like held him in his arms, and went and like took him to the showers.
That's
and
nice.
like showered him, like fully clothed.
Wow.
My dad like showered him.
That's
and
so
I was
caring.
like, that is so extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do that. So like, this is not a man-hating podcast.
Yeah.
Like there are some great men out there. You're a great man, like.
Yeah.
And I think that being in touch with your emotions, being compassionate for others, does not have
so
to be
attractive.
Exclusive with being like a provider and being in your dominant masculine energy.
Yeah.
Because he was a very like masculine, manly man.
Yeah.
Like, to boats and fishing and whatnot. So yeah, I think you can have both and at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
And
what do you think about the like conservative communities or people who are more traditional who feel threatened by the like presence of like drag queens or just like men kissing each other in public?
It's ignorance.
Okay.
I think that
Elaborate.
the more extracted you are from that environment, the easier it is to send hate that way. So
of course.
I think that they're ignorant. That reminds me of like I told you about that black musician, I forget his name, how he would go to KKK meetings and he would just talk to them, and he ended up persuading a lot of members to leave the Klan because they didn't realize that like a black person could be their friend. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's why I advocate for people to come out so much, is because until like a lot of people do feel that way and are like hate the gay community or disapprove of it and think that it's wrong until it's someone they know, their brother or their cousin or their friend, their childhood friend, like that. It does change things, and it shows people that like not everyone fits that stereotype, and like you can be a really quality person and someone that they care about, and be a member of that community. Like it's that's
true.
A lot more common than people realize, I think.
I think that what's even more ironic is that I personally think that 80% of the population is bi and doesn't admit it.
Oh, I automatically assume everyone is bi,
Everyone's
bi until proven otherwise.
bi until proven straight.
Until I try to until I try to seduce them and they outwardly reject me.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay. No,
and I think that, like we've talked about in the past, homophobia is directly correlated with homosexuality. Studies have shown.
Yeah.
And so I think it just comes from a place of ignorance, and the solution to that is education. And they use, I know conservative people, and they use like their defense is like, well, there's just like naked people in the pride parades, like what is that teaching our children? It's like, okay, why would children be there in the first place? There's raves all over the world where people are naked. There's nude beaches.
Straight people go to Burning Man and get like
naked.
Eaten out in the sand in the desert and in the sunlight in front of God and everyone.
You're not taking your kids there.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I don't know. Do you think kids should not be allowed at Pride?
I think.
Because what if you have two gay dads and they like want to show you the community?
I think that would be different. It depends. Like there are people that bring their kids to Burning Man. That's your choice. Yes. That's your choice.
Are kids
this
allowed
is America.
at Burning Man?
And raves, they take kids to raves, they put the little headphones on them. You haven't seen that?
No.
Yeah.
I think we need to keep children at home. Or
keep them locked up.
Put them on an island. Until they're 18, then they can come here.
But it's like your choice. Like you can expose them to what you want.
Yeah.
And I think also the drag queens that have maybe extreme ideas, there's always going to be extremists in every group and subgroup, and you can't generalize. Like overgeneralizing is very dangerous, even though that's what we've been doing the whole time with straight men. But that's a dangerous thing to do.
That's true.
Yeah. Because then you're just grouping people and writing them off
and reinforcing stereotypes that the majority of the time aren't true.
Yeah, and that's why, like, even in research, we're always talking about the majority and the bell curve, like who falls under the majority of the bell curve, and they have to, in research, always put the limitations.
Yeah.
What are the exceptions?
What are the outliers?
Who are we not thinking about?
Yeah.
What cultures are we not considering?
Yeah.
You can't say that all drag queens are pedophiles or extremists based off of one thing that happened. It's just absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
No, it is.
And that's what's happening and been happening now, not just in that case, but with political parties.
Tons of communities, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on tradition?
No, I think it's time for us to hit the shooting range, maybe grab a brewski. Yeah, I don't know.
We're gonna go listen to country music after this and eat some hot dogs.
Yeah.
Makes
me want a hot dog real bad.
Have you ever seen how a hot dog is made?
No, and I don't want to. Did you ever watch that video of little chicks getting ground up to make chicken nuggets for
Stop! Oh my god, why would you tell me that?
I was exposed to it against my will. It changed chicken
nuggets
forever.
are not, there's like 1%
People have found
of
like
chicken.
beaks in them and stuff. Yeah.
Stop, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
Wait, do you want to hear something
I
gross?
love chicken nuggets. What?
That my friend told me. She's Ecuadorian, and she told me this. I never get sick. Like, it takes a lot to make me gag. She told me they eat guinea pigs.
That's gross.
And for some reason, it freaked me out so much. I was like gagging at work.
Guinea pig hot dogs.
Imagining, she said they put them on the spigot.
Spigot? You mean a spike? A skewer?
What's it called? Where it rotates.
Like a, that's not a spigot. A spigot is like a faucet that comes, water comes out. What is that called? A spit.
A spit.
On a spit.
Yeah.
Put them on a spit and it turns.
Like where they put pigs and hogs.
Yeah.
They put the guinea pigs
in
there. And she says she could still imagine they're just like flayed out.
Arms outstretched.
Their arms.
That is so funny. Oh my god. What's the weirdest animal you've ever eaten?
A frog. I ate it with you at Disneyland. Frog
they
legs.
don't have frog legs at Disneyland.
I think it was at the restaurant outside of Disneyland. There was like a country. No. You were like 9.
In California?
I was 12, and we ate frog legs.
I've definitely had frog legs. I've had alligator jerky, I think. Yeah.
Ooh,
this was like beef jerky.
No, and she said they eat cow feet, cow hooves.
Yeah. People eat
like
pig
right
hooves. Yeah. That's gross.
That doesn't freak me out actually as much as the guinea pigs. For some reason, I just can't imagine their little ears. You're eating a little ear?
Guinea pigs are gross. Who's trying to eat a guinea pig? Not
she
me.
said they're really fat.
Ew. They plumping them up?
They plump them up.
What do they feed them?
I don't know.
Oreos.
Oreo filled guinea pig.
Ew. Tonight, this evening, our specials are Oreo stuffed guinea pig.
Oh my god.
With a side of escargot and lemon pasta.
I think would you eat like bugs? Like cricket?
They have like chocolate dipped crickets and stuff.
I think I would eat a cricket. I could do it.
I don't know. For me, bugs are almost worse than like a guinea pig.
You just swallow it like a pill.
That's not, no, you gotta chew it. Crunch, crunch.
The guinea, I don't think
Yeah.
I'd pass
The
out.
little feet.
It was really freaking me out when she
Yeah.
was describing it.
Well, have you seen those like sushis or things that people eat and they're like still moving? That to me is so unsettling. Or like when they chop up an
squiggles down
octopus
your-
and it like still is moving,
It
like
swiggles
detached
down
from the body.
your throat, yeah. Would you eat a fish that still has a head on it?
Was it alive? You can't eat a fish head.
Into the mic.
What else is new?
Sorry.
You can't eat a fish. There's
You heard that.
bones.
What?
You can't eat a fish
You
head.
eat-
There's
no.
bones in it.
You don't eat the fish head.
What do you,
They
wait,
still
that's what you
have
said.
a full fish filleted,
Oh.
and it has the eyes and the head on it. They didn't chop it off.
The eye. I mean, I'd have to like cover the eyeball, and then I could
Couldn't
eat
do it.
it.
You're so American.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, we're gonna go get some hot dogs, some beers,
Yeah.
listen to some country music, practice our line dancing.
We'll see you at the next NRA meeting.
If you want our next episode to be in complete